I like to talk about bargains, and especially Chinese bargains. But of course, bargains from anywhere. A bargain is a bargain, right? But what I'm going to tell you now, as I put my shoes on like Mr. Rogers, is a bargain that's not a bargain. And it has to do with tires on my little lawnmower here. You get them through the mail. They're shipped free, you know, and you get the wheel and the tire, and it's got air in it. And it's simple to put it on. There's just a little snap there, so to speak. But there's two problems. One is, I don't know what this tire is made of, but it just rubs off like an eraser. Actually, it rubs off better than an eraser. A lot of erasers don't work very good. But these tires, because this is not very old, I can't tell you. I wish I could tell you exactly. I think it might be, let's call it 4 months old, maybe six at the most. And a lot of it was winter, so I wasn't even driving it. But to make matters worse, it's broke right here. Because the wheel's included, but now see, it's broke. And I could get my welder, possibly, and zap that. But, you know, the tires already wore out anyway. And I didn't actually put it on this one, because the other one, I got two, but I only replaced the one because it was the only one that didn't work. Now this one, I think is the same deal. It's just that I got, this one's probably a year or is possibly 2 years old. So the tread's all worn out, but it still holds air, so it's on there. But I think that really I may have to pay. There's a tire called Carlisle. Is popular, I think, for these lawnmowers, and I think it's going to cost, just for the tires, going to be like $25, and maybe even more, maybe even 30 or 35. But I kind of think I might have to do it, because I mean, particularly with this particular tire, when I put that thing on, I noticed it was just rubbing out before my eyes, so to speak. The tread just rubbed off right away. Now I'm going to tell you real quick about a bargain that is a bargain. This by Harbor Freight nail gun, and it works good. And I had a boss stitch. I've had a YouTube. I got a YouTube where I talked about this in more detail. But years and years and years ago, when I was a young man doing carpenter work, I bought a boss stitch, which was considered to be the best, and considered to be American. I don't know for sure where they made it, in fact. But it never, I mean, to tell you, it never worked right. And I should have took it back. But I'm kind of a handyman, so I thought, well, I could fix it or something like this. But anyway, it never worked right. But this thing, it works right out of the box. Called Banks. So here's this new tire. It's kind of a shame, because look at how nice that looks. And but they just use some kind of rubber that's just not, doesn't have any brand on it, looks like. Not for highway. They just use some soft rubber. It probably molds real easily. And then it comes with all these blanks, extra stuff. You know, if you have a tiny axle or a bigger axle, I guess. Spacer. And one thing that's kind of funny, you know, the air's on one side, the grease zerk is on the other side, but it don't last long enough to grease it anyway, I don't think. I mean, I'll grease it when I install it, but I mean, to go back and grease it next year. It won't be necessary because it'll be wore out. The way they do these grease zerks is kind of funny anyway, because there's a space this big inside. You know, this is a tube, but then it's got this kind of thing like this in it. So if you go to grease through this zerk, you got to fill up that whole space in there, which is pretty good, pretty big. You need like a cup of grease just to fill that up before it ever tries to do anything there. But that's not uncommon for grease zerks. It's not uncommon. It's not. This one here probably just has a groove around here. There's a zerk right there, see? There's probably a groove, and the grease goes in that groove and then you push it. That's the way you should do it. So it's done. 5 minutes. Maybe it is worth $25. It's been sitting in the barn for 6 months. It still has air in it. Kind of crazy, really.